In this video, we're going to go over building a side navigation bar with Material UI React. As always, the code's linked in the description below, and if you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe. So a few quick things we've done before we get into the demo. The first thing is we've installed the Material UI Icons package using npm install. We've added 3 routes to just empty components for now in our app router to be able to demo the navigation bar. And we've overridden the default theme in Material UI. We're going to be using the dark theme with a dark gray as our main primary color. And we've also wrapped our entire application in a theme provider so that we have access to this theme throughout our application. So the first piece of code we're going to write is the piece of code that allows us to show the side navigation on all of our pages as we navigate from one page to the other. So it's basically what makes it stick from page to page. So how we're going to do that is we're going to create a route. We're only going to give it an element and not a path. Okay, all the others have our URLs, and we're going to call this element WithSideNav. We're going to go create this component here in a second, and we're going to wrap all of the routes that we want the side navigation bar underneath of that. And this is in React Router, how we get all of these child pages to show the side navigation on each. Let's jump in and get into what this WithSideNav component actually consists of. Okay, let's start on the WithSideNav component. What this component is going to consist of at the top is going to be a div with the style of flex. Again, this is how every page with side nav, so any child of that will be rendered. Okay, this will be the code that starts it. Okay, then we'll have our actual nav bar, which we'll call side nav bar. Okay, we'll have our layout on each page, which we'll create here in a second. So each page will share this. Then this is really the most important piece of this. This is a really cool component that is used in React Router DOM, so the main React library for routing. The outlet is basically the child elements nested inside. So this is actually how we would render in the case of the dashboard link, the dashboard element. In the case of form, the form element would go here. So it's a dynamic way to basically say the child element of this with side nav, which again, in our case would be dashboard at this URL form table. That is how that becomes rendered with the outlet component. Okay, now let's go create the layout. So the layout component is basically going to be our page container, okay, that all the pages can share so that everything will sit nicely and won't fall behind the side navigation bar. Okay, so let's start by creating a constant. We'll call it layout container. This is going to be a styled. We'll use the styled library from Material UI div, and we're going to give it a flex grow of 1, an overflow of auto, a height of 100% of the view height so that it contains the whole page. We'll get that out of there, and we'll get a padding of 24px and 48px to push it off the corners of the page. Okay, so simple enough there, and since we're using TypeScript, we'll give it some props up here. So let's go up here and we'll give it layout props. And all the props that the layout component's going to take are going to be its children, right? Which is the React node. And then we're going to pass in the children props here with a type of layout props. And all this is going to return now is just the layout container with the children nested underneath. So if we go back to our side navigation, we can see that the outlet is our child, which will be the unique component that renders each page. And now we're going to add the import to the layout. So now that we have the layout, let's go in and add the last sidebar component, which is our main component. So as I build this out, I'm going to show it to you in 3 parts. That way you don't have to sit here and watch me type things out. So as I get to key stopping points, I'm just going to go over each piece of code that I've written. So the first key stopping point here in the side nav bar is this just starts as an outer div wrapper, and we just have this CSS baseline component here. And what that's going to do, you can see our actual UI rendered here on the right. That's going to actually give the entire page our baseline CSS. It's a nice Material UI, another great built-in component. So that's going to give us that background color. All right, I'm going to build out the drawer piece, and then we'll go over that code next. So the next piece of code is the main drawer component from Material UI. So we have this drawer component initialized here. We have the drawer on the right. You can see the box shadow here. That's this styling. We've given it a background color, and we've put all of this in the paper props. So a lot of Material UI components are built on a paper component, which the drawer is, as well as the card. So that's actually how we're going to apply the background color, which is the primary dark gray. We have the shadow here on the right, that styling. And then we're also going to apply a flex shrink of 0, the width, so how far we want our nav to come out. We're just did 215 here with a height of 100% of the view height. So the nav's going to extend all the way down. And we've also given it another key part of this, a position relative. That way the rest of the page content, this on the right here, is actually pushed when the drawer is there, and we've also made it a permanent drawer, so it's always going to show anchored left. So using a mixture of the built-in Material UI positioning as well as our own styling, we've built the actual drawer piece. Now let's just get into the last piece, which is just going to be the actual navigation items on the nav, and that will get the entire nav built out completely. So we've added the rest of our code, and now we have our complete side navigation bar here on the right, as you can see. So let's go over the code and go over the last pieces of what we did. We created a list component here with a margin of 60, as you can see on the right. The side navigation items start 60 pixels down from the top. Just kind of lines up better, allows us to possibly put a logo up here later if we wanted to. So if you want to change where those items start, you change this margin top here. We have 3 side navbar list item components. So that's a component that we created. That'll be the last piece that we go over. And that component takes text, a route, so the URL it's going to go to, and then what Material UI icon we're going to display next to it. So if we go up to that component, we can see that those are the 3 properties that it takes. So here's the sidebar list item props. We have text, the route, the icon, as we just stated. If we just walk through this code, we want to instantiate our navigate with our use navigate hook, which will allow us to do the routing. We need to access our theme in order to provide the right colors and contrast colors. We created 2 classes here, one for when an item is selected and one for when it is unselected. So you can see that the colors change and you don't have a pointer here. So when I go over the selected item, there is no pointer, and unselected item still shows that it is clickable, and that's actually what changes the colors. So when you're on a given route, that is what is red and what changes the colors. We've instantiated a list item button, so a Material UI, another built-in component there that on click, it's going to navigate to the route we passed in. So we pass those routes in underneath. This is where the actual navigation occurs. We have a divider prop. So that's what actually shows underneath to divide each item up. And then this is what's changing the color here. So this location.pathname, the built-in JavaScript location to figure out the route you're on. If that matches the route, then we're going to apply the selected class, else the unselected class. And then, just this last bit of code on the icon, displaying it here, giving it the width that it has with the text name next to it. And then this is our list item text, so how the text actually displays with the font that it has. And again, as we go through, this is the dashboard that's coming soon. Then we go to the table and you can see the route changing here. So this is just the beginning of this navigation. We'll do another tutorial on making it responsive here in the near future. As always, if this video helped you in any way, please like and subscribe to the channel. We'll catch you in the next one.